tonight. Them attacking war and trade, all I'm murky down so the truth get displayed. Stock market rise and fall, how it really affect the small man now. When the leaders make decisions, Alan, watch close with precision. Deep analysis every week, giving voices to the ones who see. Audience calling from abroad, Nevis, St. Kitts, London Yard, Florida, Jamaica, to everybody locked in for the global view. Reason with the people now, search for the answers somehow. Every Monday we unite, knowledge shining through the night. Rain keep the fire blaze, conversation elevate. Alan lead the dialogue, breaking down the monarch. Quality time every Monday night. Alan keep the people minds ignite. Live reactions, facts inside. Rain keep the conversation bright. Quality time every Monday night. From the Caribbean to worldwide, I come and share, interact live. Everybody on the stream tonight. Quality time, quality time. Every Monday on the line. Quality time, quality time. Alan bring the facts tonight. Quality time, quality time. Rain keep the future bright. Come and share, subscribe tonight. Real Entertainment Network worldwide. Quality time, quality time. Every Monday night live. Quality time, quality time. Quality time, quality time. Quality time, quality time. Every Monday on the line. I don't bring the facts tonight, so the people read between the lines. Run live, everybody tune in live. Global topics, deep analysis, audience interaction every night. I lump on the live stream shop, breaking down the news and the whole affairs part. From the islands to the White House, every headline get dissected right now. No noise, no gimmick talk. Pure facts when Alan start walk. Economics, politics too. Caribbean lens on the global view. Shot a light up non-stop. Viewers calling, comments drop. Everybody got a voice tonight. Reasoning deep till the morning light. We not follow every trend. We are search the truth again. Real analytics, no pretend. Quality time, so the standard again. Quality time every Monday night. Alan keep the people minds ignite. Live reaction, facts inside. Rain keep the conversation bright. Quality time every Monday night. From the Caribbean to worldwide, I come and share, interact live. Everybody on the stream tonight. Them attacking war and trade, all I'm murky down so the truth get displayed. Stock market rise and fall, how it really affect the small man now. When the leaders make decisions, Alan, watch close with precision. Deep analysis every week, giving voices to the ones who see. Audience calling from abroad, Nevis, St. Kitts, London Yard, Florida, Jamaica, to everybody locked in for the global view. Reason with the people now, search for the answers somehow. Every Monday we unite, knowledge shining through the night. Rain keep the fire blaze, conversation elevate. Alan lead the dialogue, breaking down the monarch. Quality time every Monday night. Alan keep the people minds ignite. Live reactions, facts inside. Rain keep the conversation bright. Quality time every Monday night. From the Caribbean to worldwide, I come and share, interact live. Everybody on the stream tonight. Quality time, quality time. Every Monday on the line. Quality time, quality time. Alan bring the facts tonight. Quality time, quality time. Rain keep the future bright. Come and share, subscribe tonight. Real Entertainment Network worldwide. Quality time, quality time. Every Monday night live. Quality time, quality time. quality time. Quality time. Quality time, quality time. Every Monday on the line. I don't bring the facts tonight. So the people read between the lines. Run live. Everybody tune in live. Global topics, deep analysis. Audience interaction every night. I lump on the live stream shop. Breaking down the news and the whole of Facebook. From the islands to the White House, every headline get dissected right now. No noise, no gimmick talk. Pure facts when I start talk. Economics, politics too. Caribbean lens from the global view. Shut the light up non-stop. Viewers calling, comments stop. Everybody got a voice tonight. Listening deep till the morning.
Right. Okay. I see volumes in my mic. So that means everybody supposed to be able to hear me loud and clear. Good evening. It's Monday the 10th of August 2026 and here is Quality Time. And I am Alan Powell with you this evening. Culture armor finish. If I sound stuffy, I'm still a little bit stuffy, but I don't feel not even half as bad as I did last week. So certainly we're gonna talk it out this evening. Hope everybody's doing well, and I hope whoever is for everybody is doing well. This evening, I'm gonna start off. I want to give a little synopsis of my perspective about the political parties at this particular moment in time, with a focus more on the federal election, and at the end is when I plan to speak about defamation, in particular the recent case brought, not the first case for defamation against the premier. He is experienced in this field. He chooses his words wisely, but we're gonna speak about defamation in the context of that case. Right now there seems to be a lot of slow reaction to what has been taking place. I I attempted, as I've been saying, to. So let me deal with Pam first. Everybody is on Pam case. Uh, I myself said, let me put in some time and think about Pam. And my critiques of the People's Action Movement were really that I, I would have liked to see more organization and a clearer vision from the party. And for that, I was castigated and told, go back on your show. We don't need you in our forums. And so I kindly take myself back on the show. I would say to all parties, anybody who feel like I am unfairly critical of your establishment, etc., whatever it is, you supposed to use me. I'm beneficial to you. You know what you get to do with Alan? You get to turn me into Tony Montana and say I'm the bad guy. Cause I'm saying what nobody's supposed to be say about your establishment. So you're supposed to actually internalize that, filter it out, see wherever it needs to be fixed. And at the same time, you get the fact that your people are gonna feel like I'm against them, and you could use that to rally your party. And the services I offer in haterism, you know what I mean? Labor does use them, PAM, CCM, NRP. I'm here for all the parties, because at some point in time, you know, I'm gonna be the one to say, well, look, that spear over there is a spear of the truth. When it seems like everybody else supposed to say that it is not the case. Um, So for Pam, whoever it is they pick going forward, I'm gonna be looking for the same criteria. I'm gonna be looking for a unified message, a consistent message, but I'm also looking for, is this your vision? Your vision cannot be, if you are in the opposition, everything will be going on now bad. Them people cheat, them thief, rare this, rare that, whatever, whatever, whatever. And then in the last part you put in, and I will do this wonderful thing. Me not feel like that I go catch people. I don't think it's compelling enough. Um, with regards to the People's Labour Party, I have consistently said I do not believe in the People's Labour Party. I believe that really and truly the most you are gonna get out of it is you're gonna make sure that Timothy Harris is once again paid for another 5 years. But Timothy Harris has not personally been able to build beyond the first unity government, which now members of Team Unity say, members who sign the document that were members who, no, I can't say who signed the document. The member who prepared the document and got all of the benefits to get people to vote for them, all them kind of thing. They say PLP was a makeup party. Beyond the first iteration, we have not seen the consistency of the party. At this particular moment in time, for example, we can, I don't know when last I see Akila Byron is with. Whereas he had a couple of years there where all I used to see was Akila Byron Nisbet every minute. Is he birthday? Obviously, picture. Everything is a picture. The only thing I take more picture than the PLP ministers was this current Labour government. These are like to take picture more. But we were always seeing the minister, etc. You can't, we don't know where Akila there right now. And well, I think the meme that has been going around this week is that everybody who start off with him is no longer around him. As I said, he has not been able to build long lasting relationships, long lasting coalitions within his own support base, much less on a national level. And for that reason, although people still reminisce and say, but here the money used to flow when Tim been in. On the realistic level, I do not see it as something that's gonna work out in the fullness of time. And this is why, like, I don't kind of laugh anytime people bring up PLP. I don't be like, PLP is the party where I believe in the least, you know. Which, by the way, whether I talk about your party or not, right? If you know my perspective, and I have said, I feel like it's time. I feel like we've seen enough of Mark Brantley, for example. If you feel like that's the case, and by the way, I've called the election for only for CCM since we've been on the network. But it's time to, it's time, it's time. But if you know that that's my perspective, and you put me in a position where I'm defending Mark Brantley, you supposed to tell yourself, bye. Maybe we need to stop and rethink this. Similarly, if you're a PAM and you hear me defend labor on a particular point, understand the point that I'm trying to make. so that you do not continue to attack and make yourself look foolish at the end of the day. Examples are, if you hear me defending Sharon Brantley, whatever you're saying about Sharon Brantley needs to stop immediately. You're wrong, and you will never be right again. At least not within the realms of that discussion. Okay. Um, Let me see. Labor. Don't think that because I started off and I tell you, PAM supporters have given me word. Boy, I got Labor supporters who add me to give me word. To follow what he be missing. Who give me word. And not him like willing who put up the picture and say, bye bye, okay. This is how me be, in a real life. But I get that too. And I remain unimpressed by the Labour Party, particularly the Labour Party leadership. I do not feel like there is strength within the Singit's Labour Party. And so it is kind of amazing that the opposition, to me, is kind of just giving it to them. There are these other offshoots that are coming up in the Singit's politics, but I'm not paying attention to them. No, you're not real until you come a solid second. Not first mind. If you come a solid second in any circumstance, I with you. PLP win seats that PAM never win. So I got to respect PLP in some shape or form. Because the seat where Aquila win, I think that's the only time Labour ever lost that seat. So there is respect, but I told you that it's more of a integrity thing. An integrity from the point of like coherence, staying together as one and being consistent with the Timothy Harris situation is why I don't see it working out. I heard a commentary this morning. Doya is a PAM. He's a expert in PAM right now. But anyway, there is no realistic discussion about a coalition government defeating the Labour Party that does not involve the seats on the island of Nevis. From a historical standpoint. So all of this about PAM and PLP are gonna get together. This seems like a Trojan horse. And even look at some of the things that we're looking at to determine that two people good. Or they sit down next to each other during a funeral, so they ain't got to be good. Okay. Fair enough. Wonderful indeed. Run out a little steam, yeah, boy. Yeah, with me stuffiness, not with what I got to say. Um, when I get to the NRP and the Concerned Citizens Movement, well, CCM gonna have more pressure because they got all three seats, so maintenance of that is pressure. The champion gonna have more pressure than the person who try win the title, you know, them kind of situations. Um, the the Premier has been dominant in number 9. Number 10 has been consistently, and I'm actually gonna speak, you know, on a different program about the fact that number 10 should not be its own constituency anymore. But nonetheless, that is consistently seat for the concerned citizens movement. So it only seemed like the contest gonna be between Mario and Alexis Jeffers. And I know I've said Fian before, but right now Fian walking for Alex. It seems like Alexis is gonna get one more opportunity if he's be able to be successful. He's gonna maintain being a politician. If he loses, then at that point there will be a quick pivot to Mr. Jones. But right now, Mr. Jones is carrying water for Mr. Jeffers. He come before, so you know we go. Senior to you. But anyway, I don't do enough yapping. I'll be yapping again at the end and in the middle. But right now we going um Guyana. More follow from MV Barima. And we're gonna start off with some protests.
Protesters and police are tugging at each other to open the gate. The protesters have clearly outmanned the police. The gates are pushed down from the Watuka guest house. The protesters are barging their way into the compound led by opposition leader Azruddin Mohammed. This is the scene unfolding right now here at the Watuka guest house. They have
we will chase them out from every corner.
Let me just man. There is no possibility in St. Kitts and Nevis that the authorities are prepared for this kind of serious protest. I never see these people shoot no smoke, what be mace. I never see these people shoot none except bullet. I don't feel like they have any training in how to disperse a crowd. And if they were to squeeze the trigger and a bullet come out, that would be the end of the St. Christopher and Nevis police force. I'm quite confident that that would be the case. No, nobody was dead, just like I saw. Understand? And it really would feel like you put your life on the line, but there is no shot, in my opinion, that there would be any of that happening. But at least you see in a Guyana, when them man get serious, them man get serious.
Unity. We will demand justice. El Jalan and Dime must resign. This is nonsense, guys. People would not take nonsense any longer. El Jalan and Dime must resign. Chase them out of community. This is a distraction from the MV Barima tragedy. We will chase them out from every village and every community. We will no longer take this nonsense from the PPP. No retreat, no surrender.
Keep them here. Epsilon in there. Because they can do their job.
Good morning, Gemini. Not last week about the cockroach rebellion or the cockroach protest which also forced a minister, and the cockroach protest only got significantly more heated when officers pulled out their guns and attempted to shoot at civilians. I don't even think that it was like shoot to kill. They themselves would have been like shooting stuff to dispose of it, and that ain't gonna work. If we protesting and we life on the line, I am telling you, it will be the end of any of that because there's more people on the road at any given time than police and these type of things, than even guns in some certain circumstances. So it's about having clear lines. The people of Guyana have decided they no one here. No more fake story. They don't want no more run around. They want to know what happened on that board. And they also want people to be held responsible for the lives lost on that boat. And by people, not the crew who were charged, as we said last week, but actual people who in charge.
Constitutional right to be here. It is our you. You in the black dress. You in the black dress. It is our constitutional right. Freedom of expression and freedom of speech. Shame on you.
It is the same they're doing with their COIs. So this COI is discredited from the get-go. The justice that the families are looking for, they will not get it as long as this government continues to railroad the public. That is what this government is offering, guys. Absolutely nothing. The minister, to allow for an impartial investigation, must resign. You cannot attack the public servants and the people who have given the public servants the board, giving them the policies, are still in that building making decisions, and public servants are locked up in jail.
But this is also when they're talking about this matter, they're saying that what the public is saying is nice. When lives are lost, let me put it in another way. As a politician, you have to be able to calculate what is going on and what it means to the people. And at those moments in time, you cannot disrespect the people. It's the same people who you gonna come and praise and say they put me in power. Well, they also keep you in power too. And if you don't maintain that relationship, this is the type of unrest that could be the result.
Those are the ones supposed to be in jail. They're jail, and in there must go. No emergency plans. 2 helicopters stopping working. This government has failed over 130 Guyanese, and they're in the bottom of the ocean.
Does everyone remember when Irfan Ali was breaking down the barricades? Yes. Does everyone remember when Irfan Ali was breaking down the barricades? Yes. He said that the barricade is a symbol of dictatorship. This is dictatorship.
Okay, we're gonna transition quick to ministers under pressure. They kept referring to as Edge Hill and Idora, I think is the next one name. Is Idora. Oh no, there's an I and an Ora in there. Mothers, you just know me so like me talk to somebody from London, boy.
The government, through Minister Edgell, initially insisted that the vessel was within capacity, yet later admitted that significant government cargo was on board the vessel and that the normal inspection procedures may have broken down. This makes Edgell not only a liar, but culpable.
And by the way, in my many consistent pieces of advice that I give to politicians and prospective politicians and people who are in the ears of politicians, when something happens and it's hot and you are tempted to make a statement, um, don't do it. And particularly, don't do it with any type of specificity. If there's an investigation, you will be clear to let people know, hey, we're going to investigate this thoroughly. And at the end of said investigation, we will present to you the findings. Because there were certain things about the findings that Mr. Edgell described, where I told you this is going to be a problem. You're trying to cover your ass early, and look at you now. It don't work.
The evidence therefore raises a serious possibility that government's cargo, its placement, or its combined weight contributed to the vessel's instability. These factors place responsibility squarely at the feet of the minister.
You made us stand right there. I know it. Mr. Edgell, what do you make of the protest action today and calls for you to be removed from office?
Ma'am, I've repeatedly said I will speak about this matter at the appropriate time. Have a good afternoon.
Have a blessed afternoon.
Minister Edgell and Indar must resign and allow an impartial and professional investigation. The MV Barima was not a private vessel. It was a government-owned ferry managed by the Transport and Harbors Department under the Ministry of Public Works. It is the government that decided that the vessel remained in service even against the recommendations of professional staff. The government handles its maintenance, inspection.
People are saying, this gentleman here is saying that it is a government-owned vehicle. That is not really the point. The point is really with regards to the inspection. What is the procedure for governments? What is the standard? Are there 80-year-old boats driving off the coast and are in the Caribbean Sea on a regular basis? I would say that if the same thing happened, for example, with regards to the boat that sank in the channel a few weeks ago, and that sank, let me not sink because I think they recovered, capsized. If the government is passing these boats and saying that they are being inspected and everything is good, there's supposed to be some kind of responsibility to sue these people. Oh my God. And actually we are seeing this being tested right now with regards to, I think that there's a case against the financial services and whether or not the regulator was incorrect to pass an establishment, basically say that the establishment had the amount of capital to continue going on. I think recently we have seen that a case was lost, and the case was lost to the extent where the judge even said, hey, this might result in a case against the government for not having in place an adequate procedure to record who owns what land and this type of thing. So there is a responsibility, or the government does have bear in mind a responsibility to make sure that the processes, the institutions, etc., are functioning in an efficient manner, and therefore would have some type of exposure anytime one of these institutions does not function in the manner that it ought to.
and certification and failed the people of Guyana. The government controls the terminal, the passenger system, the cargo operations, the loading arrangements, and the dispatch of the vessel are all controlled by the government. The government is also known for telling public servants to abide by their instructions.
Echelon in there. 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 Echelon in there.
The administration continued to send an 87-year-old vessel into open Atlantic waters while the infrastructure needed for replacement remained unfinished. That was a government decision. The government bears responsibility for this tragedy. The Prime Minister also admitted that heavy government cargo was aboard the vessel and that there appeared to have been a breakdown in the routine inspection process before departure. Reports show that the cargo included heavy machinery, vehicles, and construction materials. Government officials have been unable to provide a complete and convincing public account of all the cargo, its total weight, if they were properly loaded on the vessel, and whether there was a proper assessment of the vessel's stability. These are not minor administrative matters. They go directly to the seaworthiness, loading, and stability of the vessel.
Because for them it's business as usual. Not a nation, we are sorry. Not a nation, we take responsibility.
A minute of silence.
100 and something Guyanese lives boil down to 1 minute of silence, and then they want to go for money. We're not having it. We are not having it.
And that's principle. That's a stance. If listen, right, yo, I don't even know what would got to happen in a St. Kitts and Nevis for politicians and people who get on like this. But this is how you're supposed to be when you have determined we're fighting. When I just ask people, is this a hill that you intend to die on? That's the question why I ask it. You ready to move like this over this point that you're making, sir or ma'am? That's the vibes. Yeah, my partner Ernesto Cook is agitated by the United States. I had to modify one of his videos on them in order to get it show. But he's upset. And we're gonna listen to his perspective. So from GT to Trinidad, regular flight.
Donald Trump is unleashing more hell on Caribbean people as these prime ministers scramble to have meetings with him. Donald Trump just opened the gates of hell again on migration towards.
Okay. So you could see when I said that my guy is upset, my guy is saying that the gates of hell are being opened. I was not aware that anybody was going to be visiting Lucifer, but obviously, why be me or that?
The U.S. from the Caribbean. Donald Trump says, I'll close the embassies in Grenada. You'll pay $20,000 visa ban. permanently, and also he's talking about doing other things which could be very inimical to the Caribbean. I just spoke to you about the birthright citizenship ban that he is telling people around the world, have your children in your shithole country. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is doing that. There's more problems coming your way. If you think you
If I had actually gone with another media outlet with regards to the birthright argument. I didn't hear him say that specifically. This seems to be, we're going back to the hits, to the 2018 and 19 hits of shithole country with that one. I don't think that one is verified in this specific round of allegations.
US immigration policy only affects the borders of Texas or the streets of Washington, D.C., you haven't been paying any attention. The newly introduced bill in the US Congress is signaling a massive, terrifying shift in how the United States views entire regions of the world. And if you look closely at the list of nations targeted, a cold reality sets in for our neighbors across the Caribbean. It may only be a matter of time before the US draws a hard line at our shores. Let's look at the facts. Recently, US Representative Nancy Mace, the woman on the screen, introduced the Third World Immigration Moratorium Act. The stated goal of the bill is to completely ban entries from dozens of countries that will fail to cooperate with a US deportation orders or lack rigorous vetting. But look at who's specifically named on that blacklist. Beyond nations like Afghanistan and Iran and Syria, which they plundered and steal, you'll find several Caribbean and Latin American nations right there, including Haiti, including Cuba, including Antigua, including Barbuda, Dominica, Venezuela, and many others. Now let's talk about what this means, okay? Because I like to break down the facts for you. If a sweeping legislative moratorium like this becomes a new blueprint for US foreign and immigration policy, the consequences for the Caribbean would not just be difficult, they would be catastrophic. Let's break down the sheer devastation this could cause if applied broadly or expanded across this whole entire region. I like to give you the facts, the human cost and the family fracture. Now, as you know today, millions of Caribbean families are transnational. Generations of mothers, fathers, sons, and daughters live split between islands like Jamaica, Haiti, Antigua, Barbados, St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Trinidad, and diaspora hubs in Florida, New York, and different places around America. A total travel ban means families locked out indefinitely, unable to visit sick relatives and attend weddings or find refuge. And then you have the economic strangulation. The Caribbean is deeply reliant on remittance flows, money sent home by family members working in the US to sustain local households, pay for education, and build infrastructure, cut travel and legal pathways, and you choke off the lifeblood of several local economies in this region. And then there's the tourism and the business collaboration. The US is the Caribbean's largest trade tourism partner. Restrictions of this magnitude signal severe diplomatic isolation.
Wow.
Business ties, academic exchanges, and regional integration, they grind to a sudden, painful halt. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? But look at the political climate in Washington. Border security and fortress America policies are no longer fringe ideas, my friends. They are becoming mainstream bipartisan talking points, not only Republicans, but Democrats. And once a president is set by blacklisting specific developing regions under broad labels like state-sponsored instability, or non-cooperating vetting states, the door is wide open to add more neighbors to the list. Small island developing states don't have the geopolitical muscle of Europe or East Asia. So when major powers decide to tighten the borders, Smaller nations are often the first to be categorized, generalized, and cut off. What starts with targeted bill today can easily morph into a sweeping regional policy tomorrow under the guise of national security. The Caribbean is not just a vacation.
This guy makes it sound like it's the end of the world if people cannot travel to the US. And you see, that's part of my point. That's how come I say my guy, my guy, my guy. You know, my guy is usually calmer than this. But it seemed like there's some flames recently. Now, I do agree with him with regards to the fact that some of these things don't get tested out. I mean, upon smaller places for say, just to see what going on. But also, it didn't seem like he applied to the large majority of the Caribbean. No, once again, that might be just the little thing. Obviously, what's going on. But he make it seem like you can't get in, things gonna be tough and you can't do no business. I feel like that's gonna be difficult. America is still overall a trading empire. So some of what he's saying is slightly overblown.
Destination for American tourists. It's a vital, historically intertwined community of neighbors. Legislation like this ignores the human cost of treating entire regions as a monolith. What do you think? Is this the beginning of a dangerous trend of isolationism or necessary border measures for America? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button and stay out there. We'll see you in the next video.
Okay, this next video here, this is to do with birthright citizenship. And there are different forms of birthright citizenship. Didn't even know you had so much of them being attacked in this next legislation. But I'm gonna let the legal expert and the journalist take us through. And this is kind of similar to that story there.
We begin the day with U.S. President Trump trying again to limit who can be born an American citizen. 5 weeks ago, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down Trump's attempt to deny automatic citizenship to some children born in the United States. Well, now the president is pursuing a narrower approach. 2 new executive orders target so-called birth tourism and seek to limit citizenship for some children born to foreign government employees, people classified as alien enemies, and children in certain commercial surrogacy cases. So is he testing the limits of the Supreme Court, or is he ignoring the court's power altogether? Here's the president and White House Deputy Chief of Staff, Steve Miller.
Talk, Steve, maybe you could discuss what we're dealing with on birthright citizenship. We had a very unfortunate decision in the Supreme Court concerning birthright. It was close, but a very, very unfortunate decision. So we're making adjustments because it's very unfair. This was done for a different reason. This was done right after the Civil War. This was for the babies of slaves.
The president is using his authority as commander-in-chief to sign first an executive order using the new ruling the Supreme Court issued to expand the definitions of people who are ineligible for birthright citizenship. That includes, for example, alien enemies of the United States, members of foreign terrorist organizations, and large categories of people who lobby and act on behalf of foreign governments. And so with taking this action, it ensures that large numbers of people who wrongly would be getting birthright citizenship will no longer be eligible for those benefits.
And joining me now.
With regards to that class of persons, I do not feel like there's very much people in the Caribbean are going to be affected by that. Basically, if you're a foreign agent and you're in the US, you're more like inclined to block it. Them kind of circumstances. I don't feel like that is the one that is pertinent. The other one, though, which is called birth tourism. This is essentially you go America to get your child. That's gonna be the one that you have to pay a little more attention to. But that first one, I mean, I really see that being of impact.
Now is Ilya Soman, a visiting professor of law at the University of Virginia. Professor, it's good to have you with us. The Supreme Court struck down Trump's first attempt about just a few weeks ago. What has he changed this time that he believes makes this attempt constitutional?
So this order is narrower than the previous one. The previous one sought to deny birthright citizenship to all children born in the United States if the parents were illegal migrants or if they were here on temporary visas. This tries to target people in four somewhat narrower categories. One is children of so-called alien enemies, where their parents have been designated as members of supposed terrorist organizations. Another is children of foreign government employees. Yet another is children of so-called birth tourists, people who come to the U.S. for the specific purpose of having a child born in the U.S. to become a U.S. citizen. And then finally, children born in a territory of the U.S. where Congress has not granted citizenship to the children born there by law, which as far as I can tell applies only to children born in American Samoa. But even though this order is narrower than the previous one, I think it's still unconstitutional, at least the vast majority of it.
And why do you think it's unconstitutional? I mean,
well, we pick up that this particular video is doing some heavy lifting. If you are paying attention, not just to what is being said in the video, but to the destiny circumstance, I've been saying, and I haven't received any email. I has certainly not received any to any of the social media feeds. I put out a kind of question. I'm gonna apologize. Does he know that Russia have agencies that have their citizens have their babies in the USA after paying thousands of dollars? Honey, I was unaware of such. Okay. So my thing that honey, you like I say, oh yeah. The heavy lifting. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe that's how I be gonna get in there. Maybe that's how we need to get the 90K. Anyway. The heavy lifting that this is doing. Do you notice that we speaking about the Constitution, the United States Constitution in this case, and certain attacks, because these things are in Constitution exactly. I said that I would apologize to any politician and any authority as well, because I have been consistently saying whether it's NRP, CCM, police force, labor, doctor, doctorate, all all of the people who are saying that the Constitution of St. Christopher and Nevis would possibly be breached by the Destiny Project. All I'm asking is, could you show me? Could you explain to me? Could you even just suggest, hey, Alan, this particular section, I'm going to tell me how. But I did not receive, I did not start to tell me, hey, people said this section, that section, that section. And you ain't supposed to be doing the heavy homework neither. Go and find one of the people and them who said that this gonna breach the Constitution. Go find one of the police, them will say, police is in the Constitution. And you go tell them, me said, Police Service Commission is in the Constitution. He ain't saying nothing about police. No, maybe some things in the police act possibly would be in breach, but ain't got nothing to do with the Constitution, not the supreme law of the land. And you see how quickly this guy here say, well, I still think they're going to be unconstitutional. And the first thing the reporter asks is, well, why? How? If we're going to be having these full and frank discussion, let Abby Belly be full and let Abby talk to Frank. It seems like all the time Abby talk to John and George and all them kind of man there. And we can't get to talk to Frank. And Frank is a man who keep it straight all the time. So anytime these politicians talk and say, well, yo, this is how this thing go, ask them, could you please tell us what the constitutional provision is? If you realize what's taking place with the police, even with the guns, the police and them say, the people don't have no intent. I do a little research. You do not hear me arguing about the intent story. I get it. I'm with you. Where I'm not with the police is the fact that they admit that they're incompetent and they don't want to take no responsibility for that. And that part there, no. That is where that is where we gone two different paths. And this is why I say, well, I try to be consistent at the very least. Anyway, let's continue with the birthright.
If I read the 14th Amendment, it says that anyone...
Constitution is being broken, and nobody could simply turn around and tell Alan, well, Alan, we're talking about this section of the Constitution. No police supposed to talk to me. First of all I supposed to say sorry. Sorry, Alan. And them gotta be what you say choppiness. And stop say the choppiness where be then gotta you say. There might be one
of the United States. I think the Supreme Court, in a decision issued in June, made clear that that includes everybody whose parents are in the United States and they're required to obey U.S. law. So it excludes only a few groups, most obviously children of diplomats who have diplomatic immunity. The president and his lawyers probably have various arguments to try to say that children born of members of these four categories, that they somehow their parents are not truly subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. But the bottom line is, I think there is no good arguments that could possibly justify this. And the types of arguments that have been used in the previous case were rejected by a majority of the Supreme Court, and I don't think that they have any meaningfully better arguments for children born to parents in these four particular categories, with, of course, the exception of those foreign government employees that really are diplomats with diplomatic immunity and therefore are exempt from obeying American law.
Professor, what do you make of what Stephen Miller said in the last 24 hours about the 14th Amendment? Basically, he said that the 14th Amendment, it came out of the U.S. Civil War, and it was meant to ensure that the children of former slaves were American citizens. He says it began there and it stopped there.
Yeah, so that's just simply not true. It is correct that the children of former slaves were the principal group that was supposed to be protected, but the wording of the amendment is much broader than that. As we said before, it applies to all children born in the United States and subject to its jurisdiction. Moreover, all of the arguments that the administration made in the previous case and is likely to make here are ones that, if applied consistently, would in fact have denied citizenship to many freed slaves. For example, they argued, well, this doesn't apply to people whose parents came to the U.S. illegally. if that is true, it would not have applied to many former slaves, because many slaves were actually brought into the United States illegally, and they had various other arguments, but all of them had the implication that many former slaves and their children would have been denied citizenship. So Miller is both wrong in the narrow point that he makes, saying that this is only for freed slaves, but even to the extent that he's correct, it still undermines the administration's position, because all the arguments they make are ones that, if taken seriously, would in fact have denied citizenship to many freed slaves, and in many cases also to Black Americans who were not freed slaves, but who, before the 14th Amendment, were denied citizenship because of the Supreme Court's decision in the Dred Scott case in 1857.
Only 5 Supreme Court justices explicitly said that birthright citizenship was constitutionally guaranteed. I think it was Justice Kavanaugh who relied on federal law. Does that narrow split give Trump even a little bit of an opening here?
Doubtful. First, obviously, the issue of whether birthright citizenship is protected by a congressional law for these groups would arise in this case as well. And so Kavanaugh ultimately voted to strike down the previous Trump executive order, even though it was just based on a congressional law rather than on the 14th Amendment. Second, the 5 justices who ruled based on the amendment are still a majority of the court, and they set down a fairly clear rule under which almost all of the people covered by the current executive order are still entitled to birthright citizenship. So we can never know for sure. Maybe one or more justices will change their minds, but it seems unlikely that they would change them in a major way.
The Trump administration is also targeting what it calls birth tourism, but visa rules already allow officials, customs agents, immigration officials to refuse people traveling into the U.S. who are primarily doing that to give birth. So what does this new order, what does it actually change?
So there's 2 executive orders. There's one that tries to exclude birth tourists, and maybe that one just doesn't change very much, though they may make more efforts to try to exclude them. But then there's also the executive order that we talked about a moment ago, which says that if birth tourists do get into the country, then their children would not be entitled to birthright citizenship. And that part is clearly unconstitutional under the Supreme Court's decision that they issued in June. Indeed, one of the dissenting justices, Justice Alito, actually emphasized this and made this point a major focus of his dissent. So it's very obvious, I think, that executive order, the one denying citizenship to children of birth tourists, is unconstitutional. I would add also that birth tourism is a vastly overblown problem. Probably only a few thousand people each year that have children in that way. And to the extent that they do, I don't see how it does any harm to the United States. If children grow up in a freer, wealthier society, they will be happier. They will contribute to our economy. So not only is there not actually all that much birth tourism, but it's not actually a real problem at all.
Okay. Professor Stillman, unfortunately, we're out of time, but we appreciate your valuable insights tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
So as much as the birth tourism thing has been made of, the professor ain't feel like it's that big a deal. And I'm not saying that it's not being targeted. I'm just telling you that people are of the reality that this is not taking up a large proportion of the persons. This shouldn't even be seen as the main focus of the act, really and truly. But it is an aspect of what is going on. Suppose I didn't hear Ernesto talk about this. Ernesto said Ernesto was going crazy with regards to this particular subject. Nonetheless, there is an attempt to end the practice. You would have heard that there was a previous, what they call it, man, the president signs them into law. Well, you know, really sign them into law. It is more about policy circumstance. But he had already signed one, and the Supreme Court ended up finding that that was not constitutional. So this is a second attempt to end the birthright citizenship debate. We'll see how it goes. I think that the bigger thing to pay attention to is how the court is going to interpret this one and how it is going to be challenged. And bear in mind, a lot of people do this thing where there's like Donald Trump, thank you, executive order. Those slip in and out my mind. Sometimes I just get confused with British terms, but an executive order. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one stands up or whether the court strikes it down. I was saying that some people just get caught up with the Democrat and Republican thing and not realize there are things that Donald Trump has done. The Democrats come in and they don't change it because really and truly they like it. And vice versa with certain things as well. So some of these issues are not bipartisan. So this is one of them where you gotta just pay attention to how the court chooses to view this executive order. But this is a second attempt to stop these type of persons from coming to the United States and having their child here. So their child is an American. This next video is from one of my favorite Ginger. From one of my favorite regions in the world, ASEAN, and how they maintain neutrality.
The US wants ASEAN on its side. China wants ASEAN on its side too. So why does Southeast Asia keep saying we'll work with both? To understand why, we have to go back to 1967. ASEAN was founded by 5 countries: Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, and the Philippines. Its goal wasn't to become a military alliance, it was to keep Southeast Asia stable, peaceful, and economically prosperous during the Cold War. Instead of choosing sides, ASEAN focused on maintaining good relations with everyone. That principle still shapes the region today. Today, ASEAN finds itself caught between the world's 2 biggest powers. China is ASEAN's largest trading partner. From factories and electronics to infrastructure and tourism, China's economy is deeply connected to Southeast Asia. At the same time, the United States remains a major investor, security partner, and source of technology, innovation, and high-quality jobs. For ASEAN, choosing one side could mean losing opportunity from the other. That is why they have adopted a strategy often described as friends with all, enemies with none. Countries in the region continue trading with China while strengthening defense cooperation with the United States. Vietnam exports heavily to the US while maintaining strong trade ties with China. Singapore holds US military assets but also has deep economic ties with China. Malaysia and Indonesia continue attracting investment from both countries. Rather than choosing sides, ASEAN is trying to benefit from both. This approach isn't just about economics, it's about protecting ASEAN's independence. History has shown that when smaller nations become caught in great power rivalry, they can lose the freedom to make decisions based on their own interests. By remaining neutral, ASEAN aims to avoid becoming a battleground for geopolitical competition while keeping the region stable for trade, investment, and growth. As competition between the US and China continues to grow, the pressure on ASEAN will only increase. But for now, Southeast Asia has made its position clear. It doesn't want to choose between Washington and Beijing. It wants to work with both. Because for ASEAN, the goal isn't picking a winner, it's making sure the region continues to thrive no matter who the world's biggest superpower is. If you were an ASEAN leader, would you choose a side or continue staying neutral? Let us know in the comments. The US wants
this chat. It was a good thing I didn't say much. Very often through the Caribbean, you see leaders. I think we've shown Kamala. Me not support no dictator nowhere in the world. They make all type of black and white statements, not pragmatic statements, not statements acknowledging that there are other histories, other ways of doing things throughout the world, and that you have to do business with these people throughout the world. I simply show this play this video so that you can see that from a region that represents about 800 million people, and a region that is literally in between India and China and the United States, for that matter, that they still are able to maintain their neutrality. They still are able to maintain and say, hey, we are not going to choose China. At the same point in time, we're not going to choose America either. We are going to make choices that are the best choice for our region. And that's it, point blank. If we could do X amount of trade with China that is beneficial, cool. We could do X amount of trade with the United States that is beneficial. That is also a wonderful thing. But there is no circumstance where they are just gonna choose one side. They are actually looking at themselves as a ground where both sides could see each other in that type of space. So that was my main purpose for sharing the ASEAN video. There's a great amount I feel like we can learn from those nations. So let's try from time to time to mix in something from over in that eastern side of the world. So for the last part, for this last how much of a time we are together, 15, 20 minutes longer if my yapping extends. I wanna get back to politics, some things I have observed, and end off with the defamation aspect. Okay. One thing that I observe, it seems like some people have heard the phrase, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And sometimes that not true. Sometimes then they just not get to your ear. So that's the situation is, but that's not in real in the practical. Sometimes that ain't how it works out. There are persons, and you know what? Let me be more straight. I'm confused by the stance taken by the Nevis Reformation Party with regards to Philip Martinez. When what am I supposed to believe? Is it that Mr. Martinez is not a truthful person? Is because if he's not a truthful person, why when he says something against the government, this is being used to say, you see, this and that been a go on. But it had to tell me that the man lie. If sometime when somebody who you don't support say something that you do support, just let them continue to. People gonna hear them. But I don't see why necessarily it is your responsibility to portray what is going on with that conversation. You can't say that they lie except when they are speaking about something that is supporting your position at the particular moment in time. It's confusing for me. So I give that as one example. Another example, and this is not an example that has confused me. This is an example that I have spoken about in the past. But the tactics, the strategy, the game plan of what is going on in Navy's number 9 Navy's number 2 with regards to Miss Patricia Bartlett. Now, I ain't saying nothing on this last one. There appears to be something in this last one, something about getting money and school. Okay? Now, here's why Mark with the briefcase was sweet and used to capture people until that was defeated. The most important thing of that is I'm going to give you the full story one time. You're not going to ask me no more questions, go ask them. Long time the briefcase no work. But it used to be you get the full story one time. Right now, you got some kind of piece of story going on. And when me point out that this here no sweet, this here no make no sense, me I get the one. And me gonna take the one. Me just always take them all, yeah. Let me see if this gonna work out. Because my position is, as surprising a result as I would have seen in the last election between Miss Bartlett and Mr. Brandley. Miss Bartlett seems to have changed by being in politics, and there are many ways people change it. Some people feel like the only change is when you get in and your glass where you used to be down, gone up now. One of the ways that you change is you decide, well, me lose, and the reason why make me lose is because the next guy been a customer than me. So since them get you because of cousin, me gonna cost more than them. And up to yesterday, I get a reminder about why your personal integrity need to be enough. I could recall a couple months ago, I promised that a particular guest was gonna come on, cause they impressed me so much, and there are some things I really feel like I could have speak to him about and convey clearly to the people certain ideas. And I just stopped hearing from him. But I knew to myself that I had done what I had to do, and I didn't hold any grudges towards the individual. And the individual contacted me last week. No, I'm saying last week, yesterday actually, and told me the circumstances. And if I was somebody emotional, or somebody who feel like you got to cuss to get where you want. I could have approached that person in a totally different manner. But the fact that I just gave them the grace and figured by they're gonna get back to me because I feel like they are a person of integrity as well. There was no way I could have been justified for being upset with that person and what they were going through in their personal life. And so it is important, even though it is very difficult at times, to maintain who you are throughout the scheme of life and to maintain your personal integrity. And I feel like at this moment in time, Miss Bartlett has lost her integrity. And so now we are not seeing a focus on the politics and the issues of the day. We're hearing about this story and that, and they gonna come out. Right. And I'm gonna continue to ask the stupid question of, is this going to be helping the average man on the ground in St. John's? And should things go how they seem like they gonna go, and I'm gonna hear them feet, they gonna just stop there and laugh and say, Acho? Okay. Feel you. And people, even, you see, even when it comes to the 16 votes, people who do not understand the 16 votes, everything that doesn't matter. People who don't know and understand about the 16 votes keep on talking about the 16 votes up in St. John's. And this does the same thing that I mentioned earlier in the show. The Premier is correct about them 16 votes there, you know. If you are interested to know why you are an ass for continuing to talk about the 16 votes, you could talk to me. And I'll explain to you why you don't need to be talking about it. But likely, you're going to continue doing what you got to do. But that's just my perspective on that there. We'll see who's right in the next about 18 months. The last aspect I have to discuss is the last aspect I have to discuss is defamation, ladies and gentlemen. So, defamation, for the, to put it simple, for the ganja man, then, he got two strain of defamation. Okay? Just like how he got, I can't even say, just like how he got sativa and indica, because them they no strain. But in this case, he only got two strain. There's libel and there's slander. If somebody writes down something on a chalkboard, write it down on a wall, etc. But text it. That is generally libelous. If someone says something, particularly if there's not a if someone says something, particularly if it's not pre-rehearsed, but it is simply just said, then that is generally slander. There are these exceptions that they really and truly, that's where liars got to argue over them kind of things there. That's where liars have to argue. The statement that the premier, and right now we're talking about the Janice versus Mark Brownlee potential lawsuit that we have heard is supposed to be on the way. And by the way, this is not legal advice. This is me talking. And, Janice team. I would imagine Janice team full up on the premier. It is full. So there's this weird thing where they say if you are writing a prepared speech, that is libelous. The difference between libel and slander are also if you do something that is libelous, you do not have to prove what is called special damages. So, and special damages are you got to show, you got to write down on a piece of paper that you suffered, you lost this particular job, for instance, because of the slander. You had to go to psychologists because it affect your mind so much because of the slander. When it comes to libel, you ain't got to prove no damage. Well, no special damage in order to receive a significant sum of money. So that is another distinction with a difference as to, just some of the hurdles that you would have to climb in order to prove your case. Generally, with regards to these matters, however, after you have climbed the first set of hurdles, and by the way, Janice is not going to be any exception. If you sue Mark Brantley anywhere in the world, it could be in America with a totally different legal system, or in the Caribbean and under a common law system. I would also imagine if you sue him under a civil code system, the first thing you are going to have to do is get past the strikeout claim, the dismissal claim. First thing he's going to do is he's going to try to get that thing thrown out. That's number one. So I'm not certainly dealing with that. I want to get to the heart of the matter. And by the way, for the amount of cost where the premier said that he going to take from Janice, the way to get the maximum amount of cost is not to do the strikeout and all that kind of thing. Let we get to the fighting. For real. We ain't need to do no weighing. You understand? You a heavyweight, she a heavyweight too. Let it go. There we go. You got your legal team, she got she one. When we're talking about maximum cost, that is because we went court. So if you premier want to get maximum money from Janice, like about with the strikeout thing. Even though that is not realistic. And on the other end, if he happened to lose, he strike out and then losing court, but Janice are the one who gonna be a laugh when he come to car. So either way, there will be entertainment. No, with regards to the hurdles, Janice will have to. She will indicate a particular set of words, and of course, in her perspective, those words are gonna be seen as disparaging and as words that are meant to harm her reputation. So the first step really gonna be the court is gonna examine the words that the premier said, the particular words in question. I'm only guessing. Maybe we will get to find out if I am right later down. Maybe if the case is gazetted or publicized. But I would assume that the words have to do or surround. You know what? Me ain't even gonna say them in case them shit is defamatory and Ren get something from Janice. Yeah? Yeah? So I'm not gonna say them, but the first step is gonna be to determine whether or not the words and in the ordinary meaning, if you got to do all kind of special things to say, well, that what you mean this if you squint your eye and is pan a Wednesday night and no. If the words in their normal meaning are determined to be defamatory, then the judge will go on to look at different legal tests. You don't have to prove, you have to go to his strike up and the man has a perfect defense. He's like Gara, okay? Yeah, so he go just come out and the go have you say, strike out. Strike out. So what I'm telling you is Janice got to be at least Rockley level to get through the perfect defense. Now, after the court has considered, if the court consider and say, by this ain't defamatory, you know, this is hardly disrespectful. Case done. There is no need to go through nothing else. Everything is cool. He gonna be like a Mortal Kombat. We just watched Mortal Kombat last night. It's gonna be Mark Brantley wins. Fatality. Done. Done. Now, should the judge find that the words are offensive? Should the judge find that there was publication? I don't feel like there's gonna be anything hard to determine that the words definitely were offensive. The words definitely were meant to lower her reputation, cause some kind of harm. I don't, and the words definitely was publicized. I mean, the man put out a thing say we're gonna have a special presentation, whatever they just call them, and then he come there and he yapped. And he yapped. and he yapped, and he yapped. He even bring out the will of his dead farmer legal partner. So yeah, Simeon Daniel is no longer with us. So once again, it's gonna be were the words defamatory, meaning that there was no basis upon which to say so they were not true and harmful and all these things there. If the judge said no, well then we cool. I would assume, and I could even assume from the premier's perspective as well, that those things are gonna be found to be defamatory. Now, the premier, if you look at what he has been saying, is already in defensive mode. And he is going to be saying, well, it's either a fair comment because this is something that is in the public. The public have this information and we need to be able to discuss it. In which case, I do think that this is a very big thing. Whether or not it's a fair comment is gonna depend on the particular words complained of again. I am of the opinion that if it's the particular words that I'm thinking of, that fair comment is not gonna be quite enough to save the boss. In order to be a fair comment, you must base the statement upon something that is factual. It's not just that it is something that is important to the country, like the Destiny Project. I think that the Destiny Project is going to fall squarely within that. But the statement that you make has to be grounded in some kind of reality. And that's what I mean. I would just say I was disappointed. I was disappointed to know that the evidence that I was supposed to rely on was a will. I think that in order for this to be legit, we're going to actually need to see a contract for sale with some zeros at the end to justify. And by the way, justification is another defense. Justification is another defense that I think is gonna be instrumental in this conversation. Yeah. Yeah. Justification is gonna be something that is also important. And in order for you to say you're justified to speak about the particular thing that you are speaking about, you got to essentially prove that what you're speaking about is substantially true. Substantially true. So, well, the word substantial is what the lawyers are going to argue over. But I think that once again, the clear words, the clear offending words are going to make it so that the substance in the substantial there is going to be massive. So I'm really happy that this case is going to happen. I hope that it does so as soon as possible. I hope that both parties are told to shut their mouth and continue to speak, because the party who lose the case after that also is going to lose a lot more costs. And the Premier is talking about entertainment. We're not going to really hear Janice at all about entertainment. Janice came on, Janice said what she had to say. I think that statement there should have been made really a lot longer ago, really. And I do get that persons have said that she has said things in the past. There is only one thing I think Janice left off the statement there, really and truly. And if she had print the document that I'm thinking of, I do not feel like the Premier would have been posting in the manner that he posted. He likely would have sent her back a letter from his attorney saying, what is the number that I can give you that is going to make this thing go away. Nothing going to try me strike out thing. I have struggled. You tell me what the number be, I will write it down on a piece of paper, and we ain't gonna talk about this thing at no point in time again in the future. Yeah, boy. Okay. I'm just gonna read the little statement here. This is from the case of Myrna Liebert versus Lorna Hunkins. To establish a defense of free comment, a defendant must prove that the facts on which the comment is founded are true, and that the comments on these facts are fair. And that is why I say I don't feel like the will is gonna be enough. Feel like we're gonna need to see a contract of sale in order for the comments to be true, and also for them to be fair. In addition, the defendant must also prove that the words complained of are comments and not facts. This here, because of the comments, may I say because of the comments, because of the confidence that my guy attempted to deliver these speeches with, he went for a certain level of gravitas, which I don't think was correct. Should I pull back a little? So you got to prove that the words are comments and not fact. And I just do this thing too, because I mean, I have been told that when me talk like I said, why me I say, you go. Me not talk like I say, I'm giving a comment. Me I talk like, no. This thing has been so, and it has been so since the beginning of time, and it's gonna be so during time, and 20 million years after the earth is gone, it's still gonna be like that. Of facts are true, It is insufficient for the defendant to merely plead that he or she honestly believe them to be true. So once again, you can't come and say, "Bah, well, me read the will," and me thought to say, "Go what?" If you thought in another courtroom there, you're gonna end up by the bakery. Me I try to tell you, and your belly now be full, you don't go pay. In the present case, the learned judge quite properly held that the statements that Miss Liebert made were statements of fact, and therefore she could not have relied on the defense of fair comment. So, when you talk like I say you're sure, be sure. Me only don't talk like I'm sure because I'm trying to read this thing over and over and over again. look here, I put that in a trouble. Anyway, so suppose the real estate agent gives him documents. Can she be sued for leaking documents? First of all, I don't think that real estate agents are under any duty of confidentiality necessarily. That's if she did sign something with the lady. Well, what I would say is not just that she got to show that she signed something, you know, because the allegation was you make millions. So if you sign something and you get a couple thousand, then the kind of weirdness of the millions now be substantiated in the couple thousand now. So you're gonna be a kind of, you know, you're gonna be a kind of problem there or so. Cause we hear millions to paint a particular picture in our mind, in my opinion. Hey, we're gonna go to the defense of justification that I was speaking of. This is from the same case, and this is in the Court of Appeal too, so it is a good authority. In relation to the defense of justification, a defendant is required to prove the truth of every defamatory fact or statement made, or that it is substantially true. Strong point about the millions. Boy, I tell you, when me talk because I went through the thing. You not gonna tell me somebody take up hundreds and thousands. That's not to paint a particular picture. You say millions, and so that's why we need to see a contract for sale that say millions went in an account, and then trying to deny people of selling millions. That's what we're dealing with. Okay, so with regards to justification, if you're using that as your defense, you got to prove that everything that you say was true or substantially true. Against the learned judge's findings, including his finding that Miss Hunkins, as an employee of the bank, had not breached Miss Liebert's daughter's confidentiality. So we also have some of this confidentiality information. And in view of the fact that Miss Liebert has not appealed against those findings, the learned judge's conclusion that Miss Liebert could not rely on the defense of justification cannot be assailed. So essentially what happened is Miss Liebert tried the defense of justification in the High Court, And she would have lost so badly on that point that she decided, I ain't trying nothing with that the inner the court of appeal. But we at least get the basis of what I got to do to justify to justify a statement. And if anybody want to know a reminder of what this case was about, this was a case. This was a case where Myrna had thought that Lana was had inappropriately mentioned her daughter on a blog site, and after she brought it up to the bank, and the bank told her, our investigation shows that you incorrect. Myrna took it upon herself and she went on radio stations and she basically said that Lana was leaking her daughter information and she was defamatory to Lana and she lost as a result. So anytime, as I tell you, anytime you feel like it's too hot, you need to drink something cold, have a seat, take some time and slow down before you go and have too much heated allegations. So that was the circumstance there. I hope I did not bore you all too much. I try to save the teaching aspect. I do a little bit in the front, a little bit on the back part. And we gonna see how this go. If that one you go court, we will revisit parts of this episode to see if we had anything right, anything wrong. The most I could tell you right now is I feel like Janice got shot. I hear a lot of the bluster from the G, but I think Janice has a real shot in this case. And whoever lose, I will tell you this, gonna lose some credibility, in my estimation. So we shall see how it goes. I was shocked because I was reading Dr. Daly case, and I realize even though they just say certain things about Dr. Daly, none of that has been substantiated. But anyway, we got another nice early night. No. A few minutes early. So we're going to casual. I listen. I need to do a better job on this, but I don't recall who is on with the guys tomorrow. No, I know who he be. Cabo. Cabo is gonna be on tomorrow evening. I think with the guys, unless me I live in the future, but I think it's Cabo. The man them have been batting 1,000%. Bank is the best guest booker in the federation. Still the only man to get Janssens. The only people who Banky can't seem to get on is Labour, big Labour politicians. And me know what's going on with all you know, Labour. Me know what's going on with all you, but all you need to come on them and them show. And once again, if I feel like them and them against all you, well then I tell our people, at least I went down upon it and must give some word. Not going like I say me back my brother daddy. But I need to pick up our phone and deal with the thing better than so. It can't be every other politician, every other political party within the federation no going on except Ayo. Ayo over there. You check? See, attacking to Ayo direct, you know. So I will understand me and I need to reach. I want him get Eric and Zoo. Well, I feel like there has always been an open invite for not just the premier, for any of the politicians, and you're supposed to feel good too. 'Cause none of the politicians them a request Alan no. Nobody say, no, I want a hard interview. Tell them I want Alan. You know them thing there. Everybody come in. So everybody should come and feel welcome and do what they got to do. This is young junior minister lady. Janelle is only one question, really and truly. Janelle could be asking oh, hospital. And she gonna say she ain't know. So I mean I really see no utility. And by the way, let's hear what he got to say about Indian castle. Boy. I wanna know what Eric goes about Indian castle. I really like to know what Eric got to say about Culturama. Culturama, what just happened. I would love to hear what Eric has to say about housing and land. There's so many different aspects. But the one thing that I would say, parties, there are some parties who do not realize that their leader is just want to consolidate the power and they want to be the only person talking for the party. Concerned Citizens Movement is one of these parties. Now, as much as Tim and Mark can see eye to eye, one thing what the two of them believe in, you ever hear any Tim politician them talking? You ever hear anybody pan PLP? You don't see Tim walk with them to his media availabilities and talk with them and share the spotlight. One thing what Tim and Mark believe in, and this was the ultimate downfall of team unity, is that they want the ball. Two of them want to be the point guard. But they want to be nowadays point guard. They're not really concerned about getting other people involved and letting them get a shot on. No, them want to be Iverson. And it's only one ball on the court. So ultimately that was the problem with them at the end of the day. Anyway, still make it up to 9 o'clock on boy. Me really go yap boy. So thank everybody for being involved with the show tonight, everybody who participate, everybody who like, share, subscribe, everybody who had on the show, going a lot of people and put it on hard, respect every single time. Everybody who participate in with the other social media, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, etc., Twitch, wherever way you get in contact, is love and respect every time. I will see you next week, Monday, the 17th, and we're gonna be able to do this again. This is a long month. We have 5 Mondays. We got another month here, so we're gonna do this again 3 more times this month. Tune into the topics tomorrow, and either the topics again Friday or everything agriculture Friday. But we're gonna link up again. Take it easy.
Quality time. Quality time. Quality time. Quality time. Quality time. Quality time. Every Monday, pon the line. I'll bring the facts tonight. So the people read between the lines. Brand life. Everybody tune in live. Global topics, deep analysis, audience interaction every night. I'll on the live stream sharp, breaking down the news and the world affairs part. From the islands to the White House, every headline get dissected right now. No noise, no gimme talk. Pure facts when I start walk. Economics, politics, to Caribbean lens on the global view. Shut a light up, non-stop. Viewers calling, comments drop. Everybody got a voice tonight. Reasoning deep till the morning light. We not follow every trend. We are search the truth again. Real analytics, no pretend. Quality time set the standard again. Quality time every Monday night. I'll keep the people minds ignite. Live reactions, facts inside. Friend, keep the conversation bright. Quality time every Monday night. From the Caribbean to worldwide, come and share, interact live. Everybody on the stream tonight. Am I talking war and trade? I'll break it down so the truth get displayed. Stock market rise and fall. How it really affect the small and all. When the leaders make decisions, I'll watch close with precision. Deep analysis every week, giving voices to the ones who seek. Audience calling from abroad. Never sink it's London Yard, Florida, Jamaica too. Everybody locked in for the global view. Reason with the people now. Search for the answers somehow. Every Monday we unite. Knowledge shining through.